Good evening. Today is July 9th, Thursday. It is currently 7 o'clock for those of us in the Central Time Zone. My name is Nathan Polsky. I am the Campaign Support Director for the Libertarian Party of Texas. Tonight we have a guest. He's running for U.S. House District 34, Chris Royal. We'd love to talk with him. We've got some questions to throw to him. Again, if you are following along on any of our streaming platforms, we're on X, Facebook, YouTube. Feel free to drop a comment in the chat. If we have time towards the end of the show, we'll get to those. We'll see if we can throw some curveballs to Chris. So let's get started. So moving on. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Pretty good, Nathan. How are you doing?
Cannot complain.
Well, that's good.
Welcome again, David. David's my co-host, helping out with the show.
Howdy, y'all.
Pretty good, David.
All right. So format of the show, like I said, is we've got some questions we want to toss to you, see how you answer those.
Okay.
They are, you've already received the nomination, the Libertarian Party nomination, so you're not trying to get that one. Right now, I'm assuming your goal is to get all the other voters in your district to vote for you. So that's where we're going to gear all these questions to see how you handle that at the federal level. And like I said, anybody who's following along on any of our streaming platforms, feel free to drop comments, questions into the chat. Throw Chris some questions there towards the end. So let's get this party started. And we're just going to go to our first question here. So first one out the gate. Chris, why are you running for U.S. House? And what would you do differently than the Republican and Democrat candidates in your district?
The reason I'm running for the U.S. House is because they're the movers and shakers in our federal government, and they spend our money, and they declare war. And those are some basic functions of the federal government. And I'd like to be there and be a force for good change, especially with reference to the debt, the spending of our money and the spending of money we don't have. And I think that's a big reason why we have inflation in this country. And it's been overlooked by a lot of the congressmen up there in Washington and the Senate and our president. And I'll show you some evidence that I think I've found that shows why we need to stop this out of control spending and this increasing deficit that we have that is leading to inflation. Everybody thinks inflation is caused by the producers, people who produce stuff and raise prices. Well, I'm going to show you that that's not the case. It's actually something more fundamental. And we've got to if we can get a control on this, we'll see prices coming down. But I'll get to that in a second. Go ahead with your next thought.
Perfect. Yeah, so out of control spending. Republicans and Democrats, they said they want, I know Republicans typically say they want to reduce spending, and they always somehow increase it.
Yes. Well, what's crazy is when Trump came into office this last time, he hired Elon Musk, and Elon Musk, as usual, does something that's brilliant. He got 100 genius computer programmers out of college, and like a bunch of bulldogs, let them loose. And they started discovering where the money was going. And they were trying to shut it down. And as a result, they were shut down. If you remember all the ads or the news stories that came out on USAID, and everybody that was in those organizations was screaming, foul, foul, foul. How dare you shut off our huge, huge paychecks? You know, it's like, what money? Well, Elon Musk touched a raw nerve in the federal government, and we saw people that are in the government who are getting trillions of dollars. I don't think people understand what a trillion is compared to a billion. I mean, when we watch the news and we see these things that say, well, they want to spend $5 or $10 billion on this program in the federal government. And everybody's like, 5 or 10 billion, and then they see then you hear the word trillion.
Mhm.
And people don't realize a trillion is 1,000 billion.
Yeah.
A trillion is 1,000 billion. And we just went from 34 trillion up to 39 trillion. Let's see, 34 to 39, 5 trillion. That's 5,000 billion. And we're up to
Yeah.
39 billion, and they still don't tell us what the real number is. They just throw the numbers out. And
Yeah, it may only be 3 extra zeros, but math doesn't lie. That's a lot of extra money.
well, you take those trillion, just do a simple procedure here and take 5 trillion. Okay. Well, that's 5,000 billion. And then you add 3 more zeros, and that 5,000 billion or becomes 5 million trillion or millionaires. 5,000 million.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they jacked up the debt by this last time. And I mean, where do you hide that kind of money? Where does it go?
Well,
Where does it go?
I think that leads us directly into our next question here, speaking about the debt and the money.
Okay. All right.
David, if you want to toss this one out.
Yeah. The national debt keeps growing. What federal spending would you cut first? And how would you explain those cuts to voters back home?
Okay. Well, what Elon Musk tried to do was to find out where the money was going. And he quit after a few months. People wonder why he quit. Well, the people that are getting those $5 trillion are another class of people in Washington, D.C., who we don't even know about.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been trying to pass some laws to stop people like you and me, the people that owe on this debt, from being able to research where this money's going, who's got it, that sort of thing, and make it a crime for us to try to figure this out. Do you know that?
How dare you ask where the money's going?
Right.
How dare you? And that's why I want to be in Congress, because how dare they say, you know what, we cannot know where that $39 trillion is sitting. When I was in law school, I did a paper on third world debt. And unfortunately, countries that did not need money, the World Bank and the IMF wanted to give third world countries billions and billions of dollars to do things that some of these countries really didn't need to do, like build these hydroelectric dams so they could have electricity, so they could have washing machines and dryers and toasters and all these things that we think are so critical to, a nice life. Well, we got them so far into debt that some of them started going bankrupt. Bolivia was one example where Bolivia went bankrupt because they were forced to take all this money and they couldn't pay it back. And what's crazy about a lot of that money is it didn't even make it to the countries in the form of money. Just tons of it didn't even make it to these third world countries. You know where it went?
Right back into our hands. Or,
It
well,
went
not
into the
ours,
hands-
but
Yeah, it went into the hands of these people that were running the countries, but a lot of it, half of it, didn't even make it to these countries. It made it into bank accounts in New York City.
yep.
Into
Administrative
the bank
fees.
accounts of the leaders of these countries, and they became wealthy overnight. And so what's happening right now is we have, I think, a complete class of people in Washington, D.C. that are fabulously rich. And unfortunately, when you have that kind of money, you can do some really bad and nasty things if you want to. Well, Elon Musk didn't last long. And the people that were in those, going in to check out those agencies, the students, those 100 students, you know what happened to them?
Honestly, no.
All got let go?
Well, some of them quit. They were being harassed by somebody. I wouldn't be surprised if they were being told, you know what, you keep this up, you may not be living long. And but a good portion of them were cut up and literally put into the agencies that they were inspecting. And I don't know if you understand what that means. But when you have regulators and they're starting to find things that are going wrong, the way you quiet them, silence them, is to make them part of the agency that they're trying to regulate, and just give them a simple job and pay them and just tell them to quit talking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened to a lot of these guys. They were just, they said, you know what, that's not your job anymore. We're going to give you a job, pay you a salary. Here's your office. Here you report to 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and that's it. And that's why we haven't heard any more from these computer programmers. I myself am a computer programmer. I developed a real estate software that taught you real estate. And I know what computer programming can do. And unfortunately, we've got a guy like Elon Musk, who's a genius, and now he's the first trillionaire. And there's a reason why he's a trillionaire, because he knows how to make things happen without all kinds of expense.
Yep.
So he was just trying to show where the money was going, and he was silenced.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was threatened with his life, because he was stirring up the waters. And the crazy thing about this 39 trillion in debt is we're not even paying it off. They're only paying off the principal.
Yeah, just
And
the
you know
interest.
what that means? That when you don't pay the principal down, you're just paying the interest. You're not paying off the credit card.
Yep. That's for sure.
You know, and if you get into that situation where you're only paying off the interest on the credit card, you're never going to, I think the credit card companies are required by law to give you a little letter that says how long it's going to take you to pay off your credit card.
Yep.
Right. And what is it normally? It's like 27 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get this letter and it says, okay, well, if you want to pay this off, but you're just paying off the principal and at standard payments, it's going to be 27 years. Well, you're never going to pay that off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
love
we're
the like Dave Ramsey type parody memes that I've seen a lot, where it's like, wait, you're spending 130% your annual income. You're spending most of your operating expenses on just interest.
Right.
And you just bought a new house? Like,
yes. You think you're going to get that paid off, right? Yeah. It's never going to happen.
Yep.
Now you're trying to buy Greenland?
All right.
That's another issue. Anyway.
All right. Let's move on here to our next question. We're going to steer a little bit away from the debt.
Well, can I just cover real quickly my evidence of what's going on? It won't take long.
Sure.
Here's my little chart. If I can show it to you. You see it right here?
Yep. We can see it.
Well, this is, let me get a pencil or pen. Okay, this is 1990 right here. Okay? 1990, and this is today. All right? Yep. The red line is the price of a case of your favorite soft drink, Coca-Cola or Sprite or whatever you like, okay? Well, it's down here at 1990 at $2 a case, okay? And here's the debt, the U.S. debt going up like this to 39 trillion over here. And we're starting out at $2 a case, and then it goes to $3.50 a case, then $5 a case. That's the red line. 7, 9. Now we're up to 17 over here, and we finally hit 20. $20 a case for your favorite soft drink. And here is the U.S. debt. Now, isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with the price of a case of soft drink? What's going on? It's just going up and up and up right there, guys. Just going up and up and up. And then what's interesting is, there's a little separation here. Okay. But it correlates with the increase of debt. And there's a simple rule in economics. it says that when you have too many dollars chasing too few goods, you're just going to have prices inflated. They'll inflate. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
And
We've all
because
seen
we've injected $39 trillion dollars. That's what I'm talking about here, dollars. When they send out that money, those are in dollars, and whoever gets them puts them in their bank account, and they spend those dollars. And when that money leaks into our economy, okay, prices just go up. And they say, well, how do we get inflation down? Well, you know what? We wouldn't have this inflation if we didn't have 39 trillion with the letter T, trillion dollars floating around. It's that simple. What's the solution? Stop the crazy spending. And we've got congressmen who almost passed a bill a few weeks ago saying that you and I, the average taxpayer, we were going to be thrown in jail, made felons, if we reported on these NGOs. In California, about a week ago, they passed a law. They couldn't get it passed in Congress. So, well, there you go with the Californians. they got to pass their own law.
Right.
So if you're out in California, you can't report on these NGO, or you can, but they're going to get you.
Right.
Some kind of law. Isn't that craziness?
It's very crazy.
It wouldn't surprise me if Texas wasn't too far behind them on that kind of stuff. That's the one thing that those two states have always been hand in hand in is, well, we got to protect the bureaucrats and the corrupt people.
Well, you know what? Why do we in Texas, our debt, do you know what our debt is here in Texas?
I should.
It's like 300 billion. It's 300 billion. If you research it, you'll find out it's about 300. It's not a trillion. It's 300 billion. Why do we have 300 billion versus 39 trillion at the federal level? Here in Texas, why do we have 300 billion?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have laws that say, you know what? You can't spend the money.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the tax money coming in, you don't get to spend.
Right.
You cannot put us in the debt here in Texas. That's why we have fairly reasonable living conditions here in Texas.
Yep.
We just don't have the sloshing money that's just sloshing all over the country because of our federal government. It's that simple.
you would hope so.
Simple. And it's so simple that if I get elected and I go up to Congress, what I want to do, I tell these things to my potential voters. I say, I'm going to get on the congressional steps with a microphone, call the major news agencies and say, hey, I got a nice little announcement for y'all. And they'll say, what's that? And I'll just say, you know, we're going to have congressional hearings. We're going to call these NGOs into Congress, and we're going to start grilling the presidents, the secretaries, the treasurers of whoever's running these NGOs. And we want to know where the money is.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple. Where's the money? What bank in New York or in whatever town you got that money? We want to see your books, and we want to see where the money is. Our national, what is it? They declared us bankrupt a few months ago. Did you read those articles?
I did not.
Our national treasury, the Treasury Department, released a story saying that we as a country are bankrupt. We're insolvent. Did you know that?
Could have told you that a couple decades ago.
Well, this is what's so crazy about that. I woke up one morning, I rolled over, picked up my cell phone, turned it on, and the first news article was this statement from the National Treasury, the Treasury Department, saying that we as a country are insolvent. And it went on for like 5 or 6 pages. And I'm reading this, I'm saying, we're insolvent? And it was at the back of the news. They didn't even put it at the front. They put it out at like 5 a.m. I just rolled over and I'm looking at this article. It's like, and it's all the way in the back of the news. They're so embarrassed about it.
Yeah. Ron Paul got booed when he said it on the stage in 2008.
Really?
Well,
Well, it's now official. We are insolvent. And I ask people when I go out to campaign, I go, do you know what it means to be insolvent? They go, no. Well, did you know our Treasury Department said that we're insolvent as a country? And do you know what insolvent means? And most people go, no, I don't know what that means. I say it means we're bankrupt. Now, here's the crazy thing about that is we really, as a country, have no clue what that means. We as a country have gotten us into a position, into a corner is what I say, that we're now so far into debt, we can't even pay off the this debt if we had to.
Yeah.
And we don't know what the consequences are. We do know what the consequences are. It's called this little bar graph here. It's inflation.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that hurt from inflation are your average wage earner who are just going to work every day making minimum or more, a little more, trying to get gas in their tank and feed their kids. Those are the ones that are suffering because they can't afford, a dollar hike in the gas price.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing with Trump, he said he was going to release the military reserves for gas, the couple 100 million barrels or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it a little bit. And I'm sorry, but just inject the gas into our economy, Mr. President, and he'll watch the price come down. But then when it went up, he said, you know what? Oh, we should be thankful that we're suffering a little because we're taking care of Iran.
Yep.
It's like, I'm not happy. you you guys have been bombing the blazes out of them and you're still,
All right.
Sorry. Go ahead.
All right, let's move on to something other than the debt here.
Yeah.
All right. So something else that the federal government, Congress, is very important with is your approach on immigration and border security. So what is your libertarian approach to immigration and border security that addresses Texas concerns while respecting due process and private property?
Well, look at the last part of that question, while respecting due process and private property. Okay, this is just obfuscating the issue when you say, well, while respecting due process and private property. People that come to our border are not under our Constitution yet because they're outside of our country. Our Constitution applies to people that are in our country. Now, once they step foot in our country and they tell us, hey, we got a problem with our country, they're going to try and kill us. So we want in your country. And what Trump said with his policies, he says, you know what, stop right there. There's a process. You got to start the process outside of our country. And what Biden was doing at the end of his term, he was just flying people in by the boatloads, 21.5 million people. At the end, he was just loading them up on planes and flying them into our country and dropping them off wherever all around the country. That's not legal, what he was doing. What Biden was doing was illegal. He was not abiding by the laws. And so now, as a country, we are having to deal with millions of people who have come into our country illegally. And then you've got this while respecting due process and private property. Well, once you get in our country, you start to fall under the Constitution. And as libertarians, we believe in the Constitution.
Right.
Right? So, yes, we want to, for Americans, to have the liberties that are in the 10 amendments to the Constitution, the first 10. That's where you get your due process rights. And you also get them with the amendments 13th, 14th, and 15th, somewhere in there. So we love our country. We love the rights that we have. That's why people are beating down our doors. And when Biden threw open the doors, and I live here in Brownsville, And I can tell you, they were coming across the border over here, and they were being given like $1,000. Just given $1,000, they'd be put on a bus and shipped to some location in the United States. And then they would drop them off in some Mideastern or Midwestern town over here in the United States. And the people in those small towns would wake up and they've already got 10, 20, 100, couple of hundred illegal immigrants looking for work. And then the people that were in those small towns were having to compete with these people from other countries for jobs. And people suffered.
Right.
And we're still suffering. We've still got these people in the country. And I think they've deported, what, maybe 3 million at this point? And they've even been given opportunities. They say, you know what, if you self-deport, you'll get to be able to get in front of the line and legally. And so there's been about 3 million, that's what I hear on the news, that have self-deported. So instead of having 21 million, we've got 18 million still in this country.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so what is the libertarian approach to immigration, borders, and border security? Simply enforcing the laws on the books. And unfortunately, we do have people in this country who don't understand what that means.
Right.
And they get all excited and they want to go down to the main square and pull out protest signs and stand up for these people that have come into our country illegally. You know, it's just something we've got to chew through as a country. Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Let's move on to our next question. We're about halfway through with these.
Okay.
Move this one back over to David.
What do we got? All right. How would you protect Texans from federal surveillance, warrantless data collection, and government partnerships with private tech companies?
Jeez.
You said you're a programmer, so you've got some good background for this one.
Well, who was that guy that went to Russia? What's his name?
Snowden?
Snowden, yeah. I used to work at the Pentagon when I was in the Army. Okay, so I sort of know how these people work up there in Washington. And the crazy thing was I was just a desk clerk, okay? And at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, guess what they do at the Pentagon?
Smoke break?
What?
Smoke break? I don't know.
Snow Craig? What?
Smoke break.
Oh, smoke break. Okay. Well, we used to joke about the center part of the Pentagon as ground zero, because out in the center part of the Pentagon is an ice cream parlor. So when you want to take a break, maybe go get a Coke or an ice cream or whatever, you go to the center part of the grounds. There's no building out there. You just walk out there. But at 3 o'clock, what happens is everybody who's anybody, they get up, the military and the civilians, they get up and they start walking for the doors. Now, I'm an enlisted guy sitting at my desk. I have to stay there till at least 5, and then I can go to the bus and get on there, and they take me back to the military base at Fort Myers. But at 3 o'clock, all the people that are running the show are literally getting up and moving for their cars. Why?
Done for the day? Checked out?
They want to beat the traffic jams. They want to get home to their nice, cushy homes. And they have nice homes there in Washington. No doubt about it. So how do we protect Texans from federal surveillance, warrantless data collection, and government partnerships with private tech companies? Well, the laws that were passed after 9/11 have seriously affected our protection against warrantless seizures, namely our phone calls, because that's what Snowden shared with us. He said, you know what? I work in NSA, and they're listening to all our phone calls, and they have these huge, massive computers that are collecting our phone conversations, and these computers are actually analyzing our conversations, and they don't have any warrant for the individual person. They're just doing it. And the reason they're doing it is because Congress lets them do it. That's simple. There's no warrant.
Yeah.
They are searching us. And because of 911, they think they can search us even more. So they've actually made the laws even looser to search us. The reason I've got a problem with that is there's a reason why you want a warrant. When you get charged with a crime, you want a independent judge sitting on your case. And if the government cannot come up with a reason why they want to look at you and your information and what you're doing, they have to stop. That's why these people from other countries want to be here, because they live in countries where their countries don't have this warrantless or this warrant requirement.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are living in a warrantless environment right now. And there was a guy who developed a program. I think it was, what was it, Microsoft or something? And it had to do with security. And at the end of the article in the Time magazine article that I read, he asked the reporter a question. Or at least the reporter asked this guy, this computer programmer, a question. You know what the question was?
What's that?
Did you program in a back door to your program? What was he referring to? When they collect
Or being able to
information
get
on
into
you,
it even without the clearance. Yeah.
you can program what's called a backdoor into a data file, okay, which means they can get into the data without having to use a password or go to a judge or anything like that, but they can sneak in and look at the data.
Yep, warrantless searches, backdoors.
Yes. Well, NSA and the CIA, they think they can get away with doing whatever they want because of national security, okay? And 911 was the perfect example where they passed a law where they were starting to erode our protections under the first 10 amendments to the United States Constitution. Why? Because they needed to catch these terrorists. I don't have a problem with searching out terrorists. I have a problem with getting rid of the warrantless requirement, okay? Because there's a reason why our founding fathers put that in, because they knew from coming from England, they had a king and his people who could just come at the stroke of midnight, get you out of bed, and take you to the London Tower and hang you the next day. And it just had to be on the word of the king. Hey, I don't like so-and-so. Go arrest him and let's take care of him. And so you'd be the public spectacle the next day for the next hanging.
Mm-hmm.
So when they came over here, we had some smart founding fathers who said, you know what? We don't want that again. We don't want a government that can just wake up and say, you know what? We don't like what Chris Royal's doing, so we're going to go arrest him because we think we got some information on him. And what's the evidence? You're not even going to see it in a court of law.
Yeah.
So we have these things called FISA courts, which Hillary Clinton, she put together a dossier with her money from her organizations of $10 million. They used a spy who was retired over there in Britain to put together a false dossier. And they went behind closed doors because FISA courts at that time were completely secret. We didn't even know what was going on. This was Trump's first presidency. And they showed up at that FISA court and they pulled out this dossier on Trump. And the judges looked at it and said, are you serious? Trump is doing these things? His people? And they issued an order allowing Hillary and her henchmen to survey the Trump administration. And they used the color of law by going to the FISA court. And nobody here in this country knew what was going on. It's not until now that we're finding out that, you know what, it was illegal. And for those 4 years that Trump was in office, the first 4 years, it was all illegal. And our sitting president and his people in the White House were being listened in on illegally.
Yeah.
And we as citizens,
most of that didn't come out for a fact until Tulsi Gabbard released some of the concrete evidence from her office to back it up. And that was just earlier this year, I think. We're talking 9 years later, almost 10 years later.
Well, did you ever see that YouTube video of Hillary?
Which one?
What did she say? She said, you know what? If Trump gets elected president, we're all going to be hanging. Those were her words. Has she hung? Yep. Has she been hung? No.
No.
Well, people, guess what? We, the common people out here in America, I'm just a common person. I was a teacher for 24 years. Yes, I do have a law degree. I even passed a bar. So I sort of know a little something. And we're just out here, and these people in Washington are doing whatever the blankety blank they want to do. And after they passed the big, beautiful bill and increased the debt by $4 or $5 trillion, I actually Googled it. I said, who passed this big, beautiful bill? Because Trump comes out and goes, well, we passed a big, beautiful bill. And then I heard, oh my God, there's another $4 or $5 trillion in debt. So I just Googled it. And it said, well, the two people, they had a 2-seat majority in Congress, and the Republicans passed that bill. Is further into debt. I'm thinking, oh my God, I thought the Republicans were conservative. They didn't want to blow a lot of money. They wanted to keep costs down. But now the truth is out. The Republicans and the Democrats are together in this stuff. We need new people who can go up there and see what's going on behind the curtain, like Wizard of Oz. What's the Wizard of Oz? Well, at the end, they find out that the wizard is really just an average guy. Well, that's what's going on in our Congress right now. We have people who are hiding behind their color of authority, and they're doing weird stuff and giving people trillions, millions, and hundreds of millions of dollars. Who's got the money? They don't want us to know who's getting the money. No. And as my chart shows, the evidence is there that we have inflation because of all this ridiculous spending.
Yep.
I'm serious about it. My opponents, the Democrats, the guy that I'm running against, the Democrat and the Republican, they love the spending. Why do they love the spending? Because they get it. They get a little chunk of it after a while. We had a congressman here who quit after one of his terms. He quit halfway into his term, and he went to work for a lobbying company. So he must have been offered a ton of money to become a lobbyist. But we've got to tighten things up in Congress.
Yep, for sure.
We've got to stop allowing these people to just do whatever they want and make all kinds of money off of the system. And then when we had Nancy Pelosi, who, when challenged and said, hey, why are you a billionaire almost? She's taken information that she's gotten in the Congress and used it to bet on the stock market. And she's up to $1 billion. And she said, those laws don't apply to me. How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you say that? And nobody gets excited because they're all doing it up there.
Yeah.
Now,
I know ever since
you've... a little, because you know what? I don't know. I probably won't win this race. But you know what? The people have to know. They need to know that Congress is out of control. And we got to bring some controls into Congress. It's got to end. If it doesn't end, we as a country are going to end shortly, I think, because nobody really knows how all this money, this debt, is affecting our true economy. It's like an engine of a car. What happens when you get a lot of dirt and grease and oil on it, on the engine? what happens?
It stops working.
Yeah, after a while, you're going to throw a rod or something. You'll boom, and your engine stops working, and you go to the mechanic, and what's the mechanic doing?
Not much
Yeah.
at that point.
He's smiling. He goes, "What? You have what?" And then he looks at it and goes, "Oh my gosh, there's it's not cooling properly because you got all this excess dirt and oil on your engine." Well, that's what's happening with our economy and our Congress. We're building up this huge layer of grease and oil on our economy. And right now we have countries like China who want to replace our dollar with their monetary, and they're not doing too well either. So we might just have a big party of just collapsing economies. And we don't know what that means.
All right. So we are about halfway through our questions. Though time does not look like it's going to be in our favor tonight. So let's move on. I see some of y'all in the chat. Yes, I am paying attention to the chat. We are going to throw some questions out there.
Cool.
So let's go ahead and just get to some of these, and then we'll move back to some of our other questions. We do have our first one here. It's not so much a question. We've got Isaac. He says, got my vote, Chris Royal, District 34, over Vicente Gonzalez or Myra Flores. So you've got a vote over there.
Woo!
All right.
Thank you.
All right. We got another one here. It says, no more foreign entanglements.
Okay.
I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah.
All right. And we've got some questions here regarding the immigration. So let's see if we can get some clarification on this.
Okay.
So a little bit long question. Would you reform existing immigration law to facilitate the process of legal immigration? If so, would you support an Ellis Island style system? If not, why do you support the current system?
Well, I think under Trump right now, supposedly we don't have any illegal immigrants coming in at this time at the border. So Trump, with the current existing laws, has effectively shut down illegal immigration. So would I support an Ellis Island style type of system? Well, in Ellis Island, what happened was boats would come up to the dock, and the people would offload, and then they would question them about things like, are they suffering from mental illness or something, or some kind of disease? And if they had mental illness or disease, they would just get shipped back to the other country where they came from. Right now, I think we're a little more lax on that. And what the key factor seems to be, are they going to be taken by their country and maybe harassed or executed? And if they're in danger of physical bodily harm or something, that's usually the little thing that trips allowing somebody into our country. But 3 million people have actually gone back. That's what I hear on the news, to go back and do it legally. So they think at least they've got a shot at coming back. So they think if they think they've got a shot, then the system is working. So it doesn't sound like we really need to reform the existing immigration law. We just need to enforce the one that we have in place. And that was the problem with Biden. Biden did not enforce the existing immigration laws. And that's why we have these millions of people. I was a teacher here on the border. And when a student would come in from another country, I was not allowed to ask the student where they were from. They would just be sitting in my seat. And I have a neighbor who, God bless their souls, they're beautiful people. Well, they would have a car that would show up in the morning and drop off a couple kids. And these kids would get in their van and go to their school. All you got to show is a utility bill and the kids in. In this case, am I upset that kids are trying to get an education, a quality education, because their parents can't get it in Mexico? It's a terrible situation that we're placed in. because of our federal government.
Yeah.
And the laws,
Yeah.
they say, you know what? If a child shows up to your school, you, the teacher, cannot say anything or report them. And that's the situation right now. Is that right? Because we have to use tax dollars that I'm paying, you're paying, we're all paying to support our school districts. That's what we got until it becomes a different system. As a teacher, I can tell you, if a kid spends 12 years in our school districts here on the border, they're basically Americans. They've spent first grade to 12th grade, and they are literally being exposed to our culture. They speak our language.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there should be something done for those kids who actually have gone through our school system. And it shouldn't be, it'd be nice if it was just brought out into the open so that we're not having to lie about what's going on in our schools, because that's a fundamental virtue that we need with our children, is that they tell the truth. Why can't we tell the truth and allow for these children to come into our country so that when they get old enough, they're used to telling the truth, not skipping the edges and, but let's just be honest about it. Let's just be honest about it and be nice to these families that want our way of life. Because once they get their education and they graduate from high school, and then we want to deport them back to Mexico. If you've ever been to Mexico, it's not the United States. And these kids are used to being in the United States. Let's just be honest about it, and let's all just tell the truth and love these children,
Yep. All right.
Amen to that.
Let's see. We got one more question here, and then I've got another one in the chat. So let's knock this one out here first.
Okay.
All right. So question number 5: if elected, what would be your standard for voting no on a bill, even if it contains something popular or politically useful?
Well, as a libertarian, okay, we believe in the Constitution, running things in accordance with the Constitution. And this is what I tell people when I'm out campaigning. If somebody comes to my office and says, hey, Mr. O, we want you to vote for this bill, I say, okay, well, let's get out the Constitution. We're going to read the Constitution, and you're going to show me in the Constitution where what you want to pass is included in the 4 corners of the Constitution and the 10 amendments and the 27 or whatever we got amendments. If you can show me that what you want made into law is included in the Constitution, I may vote for it. I may vote for it, but if it's not in the Constitution, I'm not going to vote for it. Okay.
That's a good bar to set. If it's not a power defined in the Constitution that the federal government has the authority to enact, then
yes.
No.
Yeah. And this is the problem with the NGOs. This is what I tell people. N stands for not. Not a government organization. You're already getting the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Not a government organization, yet we spent $39 trillion and it's increasing inflation. If they had just followed the Constitution, we wouldn't have the inflation that we have right now, people.
Yep.
Right.
So that's and what they're going to wave in front of my face is, hey, Mr. Oil, we'll vote for one of your bills that you want when it comes up and you're having trouble with it. So you vote for our bill and we'll vote for your bill. Well, I don't care. I want to run things in accordance with the Constitution like the Libertarian Party says. And we'd be a lot better off if we just follow the Constitution and we don't go for more money when we get up there as congressmen. We just run the country and live on what they pay us. And if you can't do that, then you need to go home and let somebody that can get in there and run the country.
Yep.
That's the way.
All right. All right. Let's see. I've got one more question came from the chat. I see that there are more questions there. We're not going to be able to get to all of them today. So let's get this next one, because you mentioned libertarian principles. If it's not in the Constitution,
Right.
So what is your position on marijuana legalization in Texas? So I know this. Since you're running for Congress, you're running for U.S. House, it wouldn't necessarily be legalization in Texas. It would be more of a federal legalization on marijuana. So what would be your position on that one? I know libertarians are very vocal about that.
Well, right now, my understanding is Governor Abbott has already allowed for possession of marijuana in our state. So you can have, what is it, 10 ounces or some crazy amount. I don't do marijuana.
Yep.
And I've known people that have done marijuana, and when they get off of it, they're back to normal. Marijuana does mess with your mind. But right now here in Texas, you can go to the CBD shops and you can get all kinds of stuff. And it's allowed by our state right now. And the way I look at the problem with marijuana and drugs in general is that police departments literally have made themselves rich off of some of these people, because they could
it's a moneymaker for them.
They could confiscate money, vehicles, auction them off, and raise funds for their sheriff's departments. So illegal drugs have been a source of income for a lot of police departments, sheriff departments, whatever, because there's money in it. Well, what happens when you take the money out of it?
Yep.
You make it legal.
Yep.
Well, the drug dealers go away because they can't make the kinds of money that they're used to. I mean, I think about prohibition of alcohol back in the 1918 or whatever, when they passed an amendment to the Constitution saying that they couldn't produce alcohol. And what happened in that situation?
Crime went up. People died. I think more people died to alcohol poisoning and the government spiking the alcohol supply than people actually died of just drinking.
They were making tons of money. We had bad mobs that were killing people. And even the judges, I heard stories of where judges would have a flask of alcohol in their judges' chambers. And, when they got a little whatever, they'd have a little swig so they could get through the day, and it just didn't work. And so finally it was repealed because it was thought, what, if we were in the Depression at that time, this will create jobs for whatever reason, and so it was legalized, alcohol. And I can tell you, alcohol is bad. No, seriously. People who are alcoholics, what's that?
So don't look over there.
Right.
So anyway, marijuana, if somebody wants to get high on marijuana, it sure beats methamphetamines.
Yeah.
I mean, meth and super meth
opiates
and all
or
these
most of the other things you can get legally.
And then you got ecstasy and you got all these other drugs. And if people want to get high and go out and party and go crazy, and then,
the biggest and most profitable drug dealers is the big pharmacy racket.
Yeah. Well, that's another issue that we haven't covered yet, but I have my ideas about that one too.
All right. All right. So we are nearing the end of the hour here. All right. So you are running for U.S. House District 34 in Texas. Where exactly is that? That's South Texas, correct?
It's, if you know where Corpus Christi is.
Yep.
That's the northern edge of our district.
So South
and they've redrawn
Texas.
Our district. What's that?
So really South Texas then.
Yes, it goes down to Padre Island. It includes Padre and goes out to the border of Cameron County, and then it heads up to Corpus. And it was redrawn so that the Republican guy would get the benefit of Corpus, because Corpus is strongly Republican. So
right on down there.
Exactly. Okay. There you go.
All right. All right. So if you are in that district, District 34, if you're in any of those counties, a little bit of Hidalgo County down there, if you want a nice, strong candidate that's not a Republican or a Democrat, Chris Royal is your option there.
Awesome. Okay.
All right, Chris. Well, I guess this is the part where David normally asks the very, very important questions.
Okay. Go ahead, David.
Where can
Hit me.
people find out more information about your campaign? How can people sign up to volunteer? How can people donate? If they like what they've heard so far, how can they get involved?
Right. Well, my Cash App is Christopher Royal at 79. Christopher Royal 79.
All right, and you
So,
got an email or website or anything?
My
can reach out
website
to?
is simply //HTTPS twice chriscongress.com. chriscongress.com. Kept it simple.
Perfect.
I like it.
In my little website there, I wrote a little something about why our country is the way it is and how it was founded. And a lot of people don't realize that we had farmers who created our country. Just simple people who wanted a simple government so they could go home and be good fathers and farmers. And unfortunately, it has turned into something other than that. And that's why I'm a history teacher, I'm a math teacher, I'm a social studies teacher, I'm a computer science teacher. I've passed every exit for high school, and I can teach anything. And I also have my degree in philosophy. And philosophy is called the queen of the sciences, because philosophy, we take in all areas of study and we think about everything. That's why I see these things that happen in the news. I see the immigration things, and there's a reason why we have laws. And we need to get back to just executing the laws. That's simple. Everybody gets into these political ruts where they got to get anxious and screaming and yelling and throwing and it's, we need to get back to, there's a principle in the scripture about being a person. And this is something that I was taught as a young child, and it's in the one of Paul's letters. And it's simply this: treat others as if they're better than yourself. Treat others thinking of them as being better than you, that they've got better ideas, or so the scriptures teach us to be open to other people and to listen to each other. And I can tell you that principle has really helped me when I was in the Army, when I've been a teacher, when I'm here in politics. It's just simply being open to what other people are trying to say, and not be stuck on your point so much, but be open.
Yep, that is a good message to have. That is a good philosophy to have. Everybody should be considering or looking at how to incorporate something like that into their life.
Yes. Yeah. It would
All
just
right.
be nice to one another.
All right. So we have now hit the 8 o'clock mark on this.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Everybody,
Chris,
in the
thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Hey, if anybody that's watching this has a question for me, I actually have my email address on my webpage. It's simply chrisroyal23@gmail.com. chrisroyal23@gmail.com. You can send me your questions. You can even call me. I even have my phone number on my webpage.
There you go.
Most people don't bother calling me or emailing me or whatever, but you know what? That's how open I am.
Yeah. Yeah. So for
And if
everybody
you
who's in the
wanna
chat
talk
who
to-
didn't get their question asked or answered,
Exactly. If
feel
you
free
haven't
to
got,
send Chris an email, and he'll answer it,
Yeah.
or give him a phone call.
Yeah,
or you can call me.
yeah.
I may not answer because my phone says potential spam, and I get about 20 calls like that a day, and I've stopped answering those calls. So the best thing to do is just simply email me at chrisroyal23@gmail, and I'll be checking for questions, and I'll even go out to Whataburger with you and have a Whataburger and sit down and talk for. Like last night, I ran into a guy at Whataburger. We talked for 3 good hours. We talked about
Nice.
I had a fun time. It was fun.
All right. Well, thank you again, Chris, for hopping on here and letting everybody know about your campaign, what your stances are. how they can reach you.
Yeah.
David, thanks again for co-hosting.
Of course.
And thank you, everybody who tuned in, shot some questions into the chat. We'll have the video if you missed it or if you just tuned in late on Facebook, on YouTube, on X. You can go rewatch it. And like
Cool.
I said, shoot Chris an email if you have any additional questions. So next week, it looks like I know we have at least one interview on Tuesday. And I think we may have another one next Thursday as well. David's going to be interviewing me on Tuesday. So be sure to check that out. We've
Co-host TBD.
Co-host TBD.
If you're watching this and you want to co-host, just kidding. We have some people in mind. But
all right. Well, until then, again, thank you, everybody.
I just want to thank you, Nathan and David, for listening to me. I know there was a lot there, and it's probably, I don't know if I'm in left field or not, but I think we need to get this Congress under control. I think we're at a stage in our history right now, a critical stage, that if we don't get good leadership that operates on fundamental principles, our country, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen to our country if we can't get some good leadership that can lead by principles and quit all this backbiting and out of control spending. We're really in trouble. And I promise to go up there and play by the book and the Constitution. And if they don't like it, I'm sorry. It's over. Party is over. Anyway.
All right. It's a great message to end on. Y'all have a great night. Everybody watching, y'all have a great night. Stay tuned. Enjoy your weekend. Until next time.
Thank you.